What's up, everybody? Welcome back to Clock's Running, podcast for everything flag football official. I'm Ant.
And I'm Jacob. What's going on? Just getting my juggling down.
You know,
Figure I'll start with 2. I'll work up to 3 one day.
there's no way you're ever going to do 3.
What do you want to bet?
I don't know, man. You know what? Speaking of bets, it seems like you're somebody that doesn't own up on a bet when you lose.
Whoa, wait a minute. Wait. What bet have I not owned up on?
I never saw your face painted in Tampa.
Oh, no, absolutely not. There was a buyout. And as soon as I found out about the buyout, I was like, done.
Oh, okay. All right. Well, I didn't hear about the buyout. Usually Chun airs out everybody's dirty laundry, and I didn't hear about that.
Well, he's pretty good about it. He probably forgot because, he was too busy hanging out with his new friends, Tyreek Hill and, whoever else he was with.
I don't know, man. I don't think he even enjoyed the moment. Like every picture I saw with Tyreek, Chun was just sitting on his phone.
Well, he's trying to. Chun's the type of guy, he wants to look cool, but he's like a little schoolgirl on the inside, all giddy,
Oh man, I know. Go ahead.
I was gonna say, man, it's just a universal thing. We're all just like ducks on the water. Everything looks great.
No.
Yeah. Give me another opportunity to use that. I'm there.
Oh man, I have a really inappropriate saying that I got to run by you, but I cannot do it on the air.
Look, man, if we haven't been canceled by this point, we're in season 2 now. Let it rip.
No, let's just say only people in Utah know what it means. So
I know what that one is.
Oh man. Okay. So I know we could spend all night insulting Chun and throwing him under the bus, but we got a jam-packed show. So let's get right into it. I'll introduce the first guest. You introduce the second. How about that?
Deal.
All right, cool. So from the West Coast, the left side of the states, United States, all the way west. On the other side, some say it's the best coast. It was only the best coast when I was there. But let's bring our first guest on. Dama, what up?
What's up, guys? How y'all doing?
What's up, Dama?
What's up, man?
I see you. I see you at Planet Fitness.
Say what?
I see you at Planet Fitness.
Yeah.
Is it still a judgment-free zone?
They say.
Yeah.
Are you allowed to deadlift there? That's all I got to know.
No, not at all.
Yeah, you can't.
They did add a couple machines, so it's kind of nice.
Yeah. Hey, so Dama, I know you and me have had lots of conversations lately, so I think this is a good opportunity to bring you back on the show. You came on early on in season 1. We kind of talked a lot about the QB position, but I've been noticing you've been putting on the stripes a lot lately.
Have I?
Are you moving in? Are you transitioning? Are you moving into a referee kind of lifestyle soon, or what?
I used to ref a lot in Texas. I think with my move to California and people kind of getting to know me, they asked me to ref a little bit more. So I think that's probably what you're seeing right now.
Yeah.
But I'm always open to ref. So.
Yeah. So for those that don't know, you're the quarterback. You are what is it? The tip of the arrow, the driving force of San Diego Blitz.
He's working on his sayings, and he's trying to get on my level with these sayings and analogies, and he'll get there one of these days. Tip of the arrow. It's the tip of the spear,
I don't know.
Man. Good grief.
Hey, he's trying.
Okay, all right. Let me break it down a little bit. You're the OG. You're the veterano of San Diego Blitz, right?
Yeah, I'm an OG quarterback. I would
Your
say.
sayings in a different language aren't even that good.
Oh man, I'm striking out. Go ahead, Jacob. Ask her a question because clearly I got nothing.
All right, so the last few weeks we've been recapping Tampa a little bit. So why don't you tell us about your experience with Tampa?
With my experience with what?
Tampa for the World
Oh,
Championship.
with Tampa?
Yeah.
I mean, so I haven't been to Tampa in a while. I had injured my knee for a couple of years. So I was kind of out of it for a little bit. So my experience with Tampa and seeing from the last time that I was there to this time, I mean, reffing wise, 100 times better.
Yeah.
Like whenever I was going, like refs are a little high, a little drunk, a little bit of a lot of things. Um, but seeing like that growth where we had a lot of higher level reps, that was pretty nice. How it was run, it was a lot better than what I've seen, or I was used to. So that was pretty nice. I think I had a really good experience in Tampa.
Well, talk to us about your planning experience. Like how did you guys? How did Blitz do? How did you feel like they did?
I think we did okay. I think I'm also a little harder on like myself and the team. Uh, I think for the key members that we were missing our starting safety. I was missing one of my starting receivers. I think we did okay. We still showed out. I think we played some really great games, but we definitely have a lot more growing to do. So it was
Do
a
you
overall.
you have anyone on your team that speaks French?
No,
I think that was one of the reasons that you guys weren't able to beat the Canadian team.
what you mean? We beat the Canadian team.
All of them?
I think we only
What?
played one Canadian team. Yeah, we only played one Canadian team, and I think it was in Air It Out.
Oh, who'd you guys play? Matrix? Didn't you guys lose
Matrix.
to? Oh,
Okay,
you beat
relax.
them in the pool play.
Yeah, we beat them in the pool play,
Oh, okay. Because they,
which
yeah,
was
because they
that game was
what?
pretty nice. Like it was. I mean, I'm not used to Canadians being so physical, but they definitely brought it. So I know Lo, my ex, she was getting beat up. So it was a whole battle, but it was fun. That was a really fun game.
Yeah, yeah, and I mean on Matrix, that's the younger Canadian team, right, Jacob? There, a lot of them are the collegiate players.
Possibly is it them or Sub Zero?
Sub Zero, I think Sub Zero has Sarah, and so I think they have more of the national team players
Oh,
on Sub
okay.
Zero. Yeah.
Kudos to shout out to Sarah. Don't know who that is.
No, Sarah killed it. I was watching her championship game actually against Matrix. She was slicing and dicing. I think there's
Yeah.
probably only like one mistake.
So judgment free zone.
Yeah, they were like, "That's it.
Yeah,
What
we're
is going
done.
on
Get her
here?"
out.
All right. Well, we'll see if she. Oh, she's about to come back.
I was gonna say we're seeing action here with the mute on off.
There's a little action going on. Here, I'm going to take her off real quick, and then I'll see if she comes back on. Anyway, she's talking about air it out.
Yeah.
We didn't touch on that division so much in Tampa. I thought that was just that bracket was a lot bigger than normal. I think air it out's almost become like the second biggest format.
Definitely.
Which is cool for officials, right? Like what makes air it out so.
Officials love air it out, man. They feel like it's the nice thing is it's a little bit less to keep track of, right? You don't have to keep track of, if you look at our styles, co-ed probably is our most, you have to think the most as an official. Air it out, as you start, scaling everything back, where all you have to think about is was it a forward pass, and then it comes down to the basics. So I think that's probably why our officials love it the most.
Yeah. So Dama, from your perspective, I mean, it's so offense driven. Air it out is you get an extra down, you got an extra timeout. How do you game plan compared to other formats that you play?
I mean, honestly, air it out for me, I fucking love it because I could just I don't have to worry about like running plays. I don't have to worry about anything. I just go. I got 4 downs. It feels like I have so many downs. Like I'm just going out there and I'm gonna sling it. So it really just kind of depends like who we're playing. But other than that, like I'm, I'm gonna I'm gonna throw. I'm gonna throw a lot,
Yeah.
and I'm gonna go deep.
Hey, so I know that we talked about it when we've had Jonah on and we talked about like the Southern California rivalries that you guys end up playing each other all the time. Jonah and Jack seem to match up in contact. Every state in the United States, they end up playing each other. It seems like it's kind of starting to happen with San Diego Blitz and Top Shelf. You feel like, are you tired of playing them, or is it just like, yeah, we're going to take it to them every time we match up?
A little bit of both, right? I think we get a little annoyed when we go to like out of state tournaments and then we play California teams. Like we really want to like dab into playing different teams, and somehow we always get California. We're always getting mixed breeds. We're always getting top shelf. So it does become a little bit like once you start playing a team so many times, they kind of pick up on like what you like to do. They have all their guys on the sideline telling them like, hey, they're doing this, they're doing that. So it kind of gets a little boring sometimes. Um, but we do see Top Shelf is probably the team that we play against the most, which it's all right. But I wish we played like different teams.
Yeah. Is now I've noticed you are one of the women's teams that doesn't have like a boyfriend coach hanging out on the sideline that's like thinking he's the best, thinking he's the he knows everything about football because he played in seventh grade. Have you thought about at any point having a coach, or are you good with how you run things?
Honestly, no, we don't. I like to coach my girls. I like to be in control, at least of my offense. B takes control of the defense, and it works for us. Like I think we're pretty self motivated, so and knowledgeable of the game, so we don't have to. I don't feel like we need a coach.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, the only I guess piece of advice I'm going to give you is you got to trust yourself more because I think sometimes in pressure situations you get a little stressed and you start to like you had your 6 foot wide receiver trying to give you advice. You had people from the side. I'm like, no, just let her cook. Like everyone just needed to just chill and let you handle business.
well, I mean, I think my offense, especially like in my huddle, I don't have too many people like talking. Like I think my huddle is run pretty tight to where the communication being had, and this is something we established with like my teammates, is like, hey, this is how I like to be communicated. Like prime example is like I I won't ever throw someone the ball if they're like, oh man, I was open. Like if you can't tell me why you were open and how that safety played you and how that corner was playing you, you probably weren't open. Like you might feel like you were open, but you weren't open.
Yep.
And so like the communication that we have in the huddle is like super high efficient. So it's like now my receivers are like, hey, she's playing like this, or she's like inside shading, or it's just like key things. So our huddle goes by pretty fast. Um, so I don't really experience that. Like, and honestly, I don't hear anybody on the sidelines. They might be like chirping away, like do this or that. Like I am zoned in for the most part. So it works.
Yeah. So you've been trying out a new thing that me and Jacob both do not encourage at all, and it's very much in the rule book that you're not allowed to
God,
have.
dude, you're such a snitch,
What?
dude. Dry.
Why are we bringing attention to it? Don't bring attention to it,
Dama,
man.
let me go ahead and tell you what the 2025 theme of clocks running apparently has turned into, and I don't condone it. Is dry snitching.
For real. And since what, you move out of California and all of a
Yeah,
sudden,
all of a sudden he moves across country and starts acting different.
Hey, I'm just no. You know what I'm doing? I'm holding people accountable. Because here's the thing.
Hey,
The-
Let's calm down, man. We're all here. This is judgment free.
Hey,
You're trying to hold people. You're trying to hold people accountable. You're trying to hold people accountable. I'm just trying to get sponsorships for the team, man. Like,
do what you got.
Let me get sponsorship.
Yeah, let her be great, bro. Who cares about rule?
Which, by the way, like, and I have my, I do quarterback training too, so that kind of helps. Like, with whenever I'm like with my QBs, like, hey, it's a good point of view to see everything, and it kind of like helps them break it down a little bit more. So, and not just that, I feel like it's great for the game. Why wouldn't we keep growing the game?
All right, so let me ask this. So maybe from the quarterback position, the camera angles, like maybe it's all right, but like what good is it doing when you see a receiver running downfield? You just see this right here. All you see is that.
Yeah.
Right there. You're getting nothing from that. As a quarterback,
we shouldn't let receivers go.
Okay. I get the logic that we're trying to show like content. It's a cool view because I mean to an extent it can be cool. All it takes is the knucklehead who runs into you or runs into somebody else, and next thing you know, they're bleeding.
I mean,
blood's everywhere. People are screaming. Kids are crying.
I get that, but the camera is like 2 inches. It's like this big. On top of it, it's not like I'm moving a lot back there. I like to get rid of it quick. So I could understand if I was like a whoosh where he's like everywhere. But
that's the tough thing, though. That's the tough thing is trying to say like if you're okay, but someone else isn't okay, and having to balance and judge. I think that's the tough thing.
There should be preferential treatment. Absolutely.
Well, you know what? One thing, because I do watch it, and if you notice, not on Clock's Running, because I can't be supporting it. When I had another content creator call us out about his GoPro, so, but on the Red Fam page, when you share it, I share it along because it's a cool perspective, and I like to see it. Now, the one thing that I'll say that I love to hear, and I want to take credit for this because I feel like you and me had this conversation a couple years ago, where where your receivers were impeding the rush almost like every other play, and you were just so frustrated with me, and I just said, hey, as a quarterback, before the ball gets to you, before the snap happens, you should be saying to your receiver where the rush is coming from. And I hear you say it every time you're recording. You're like, rush is on the right, rush is on the left. So you're welcome, by the way.
Yeah. He'll snitch, but he'll help you out.
Yeah, I'll help you out after I snitch on you.
People helping people,
Is that what we're calling it?
Yeah. Oh, okay. So, Dama, I'm trying to think about some of the other conversations you and me have had recently, but I do want to just ask your perspective. There was a clip that I posted. I don't know if you saw it. It was a quarterback throwing, and their wrist got hit by the rusher's head. Did you watch that? It was over the last couple of days. Yeah. So, your perspective as a quarterback, how do you feel like that should be called?
I think that should be roughing the passer. I obviously have a bias because I am a quarterback, but correct me if I'm wrong, in the rule book, a quarterback should be allowed to complete their throwing form. Or I might have just made that up.
No, you didn't. It says it in there.
Okay.
You have the right to that. It also says that insignificant brush by can be not deemed either. So,
which I'll ask y'all this though.
Yeah.
Where I get a little frustrated on the no calls with for the quarterback is when your front leg is planted and then the rush comes in and jams into the leg, which is a hard angle if you're not really watching for it, because it just kind of looks like she just kind of like jams up on you and pulls your flag. But a lot of times these rushers come in and they come in hot towards that front knee, and it's, man, that's probably the one that gets me the most mad. Which I think it should be called, but I don't think I've ever gotten a call for that.
So you think not only like the contact in your throwing motion, but also like contact that happens at your knee, at your hip should be called as well? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, like I'm a right-handed quarterback, right? So my left leg will be planted, and most of the times you'll have rushers come in and then just jam your knee, so it hyperextends. But like that jamming is so hard to see because it just kind of looks like they're coming up on you. So you, like most of the time you can't really see the hit, which kind of sucks. But like for me, it's an annoying part of it.
Yeah, I get that.
What are you, Jacob? What are your thoughts on the whole roughing the passer and those kind of scenarios?
So you wouldn't have roughing there because I mean you wouldn't have roughing the passer there because you're not hitting the arm. So what you are hitting, you're making illegal. It's contact that's egregious, in the judgment of whoever's officiating. I think Dom was right. That does get missed a lot. It's kind of a tough thing because the intent is for the person going for the flag. It's also about the angles, right? So an official might. That's a tough position to be in to even see that. From the line, you might see it, you might not. You might just see somebody going for a flag and not even realize there's contact happening. So
Yeah.
it's definitely something worth trying to hone in on. But it's also on the flip side, do you choose making sure that someone's arm isn't getting hit or something like that when they're coming through, with a follow through, or do you make sure that someone's it's a catch-22, I think.
Yeah. I think like the response I get from refs, because I'll talk to them and be like, hey,
Yeah.
like, can you just watch that front knee? My plant foot. Can you just check it? And most of the response that I get is, oh, they were going for your flag, and I'm like, that's cool, but they can't do that,
Right. You
and
can't get
that's
traded
usually
for it.
it. And then the second part of it, I think some refs have the tendency of like moving their eyes a little too quick. Like as soon as the ball is released, they move their eyes. So then it's like, man, you got just if you were to watch it for like one more second, you would catch it. So it's like it just comes like from experience.
Yeah.
And sometimes
Oh, hold
I
on,
got
real quick.
muted.
There we go. Hold on. Got a little technical.
And didn't like what I was saying.
Hold on, real quick. Ooh.
Sorry,
Okay.
my earphones going on they're still going on the
Okay, hold on, real
fridge.
quick.
What that was.
I'm gonna take her off real quick. I think it
Dang, you
was
ain't
her
gotta keep
mic.
kicking her out.
I know I got it. I think it was her mic. So
Okay.
I don't know what happened. But she was making a good point about what she was saying. I wanted her to finish her thought on that. Let me see if I can add her back here. Let's try this now. It's still there. Yeah, it's still there. Okay. We'll give it a second with Dama. I'm just gonna so she can come back and finish her trade thought. I'm gonna share from my perspective as a rusher. Now I played both non-contact and contact. I know Dama doesn't play contact at all.
Yeah. I like
But
that Planet Fitness.
yeah, but as a rusher in non-contact, number one, I never went in like this. That was me. I never wanted to take the chance of. To me, I felt like the percentage of being able to bat the ball down was so low that I wasn't going to risk getting a roughing the passer. So as a rusher, I was never doing this. In non-contact, I would go at a farther angle because my goal was to just try to avoid making any contact, whether it was down below or anything like that. Also, because of like my joints being older than other people's, basically, basically once my movement started, like that was my line of movement, and so like, so so I could go pretty fast at the quarterback, but if they juke me well enough, I'm in the dirt, and maybe I'm getting back up to try for something. But the thing is that I was protective of the quarterback in non-contact. In contact, there no rules applied to me, in my opinion, and I was going at that quarterback full speed. I was punching them in the hip. Like I was doing everything I possibly could to get that flag off. Now, especially in 8-man, where all you got to do is sneeze and the triple threats come off. I mean, I was trying to make contact. I was not worried about the quarterback being okay. Again, I'm not going in like this because I think it's so easy. Unless an official turns their head, it's so easy to see the contact up here. But if I can make if I can make any type of contact and get that flag to fall off, I'm good, So that's from a rusher's perspective. Go ahead.
I was going to say, so I think back when I was playing, it was, I was doing kind of the opposite. I figured I had the wingspan to kind of, I wasn't doing much, but still trying to deflect, the pass and try to disrupt something. I thought it was worth the chance. Half the time I wasn't getting there anyway, so it didn't matter. So. Yeah.
No, for sure. All right, let me try one more time. Let's see here. No. All right, Dama.
Hey, appreciate you, Dama.
All right, Dama. Appreciate you. We'll try again another time. All right. Well, she was talking. She was sharing some good points. I appreciate her quarterback perspective, and I appreciate her joining us. I think ultimately that the one thing that she brought up that I do want to touch on, just kind of have you talk me through the mechanics of it, Jacob. How do you manage that mechanic of being able to? And I would say that the majority of the time it happens in a two-man or two-person mechanic. Like I think that's the scenario. But ultimately, if you are on the line of scrimmage and your main priority is watching the quarterback and the rusher, what is the mechanic if you are in a two-person crew?
You're watching that rusher come in. You're watching the impede. You're watching all the way to the quarterback. You kind of got to have your eyes going both ways to make sure the quarterback doesn't throw it prior to. But you're watching that rusher cross. You're making sure there's no impede. And then you're watching the quarterback through their follow-through to make sure there's no contact. And then at that point, then you turn. I'm guilty of it. It's happened to me. It happened to me in games before. And it's cost a team because quarterback's just gotten obliterated. And I looked away. I was immediately, as soon as I saw a ball thrown, I said ball away, and immediately threw my head the other way. Missed the quarterback. The coach was standing right beside me. He said, "My quarterback just got blown up. What are you gonna do about it?" I turned back and I went, "I didn't see it. It definitely happened. That's on me." So I just think it's human nature to watch the ball and to get caught. Every now and then having it happen. Just try to be accountable for it.
Yeah, no, definitely, and I think that of course, naturally, 3-person, 4-person mechanic, it just becomes so much easier to be able to see that. But I mean, the reality of it is, even in a 4-person mechanic, if you have the ref on the throwing side of the quarterback, guess what? Then a blind spot gets created is if the rusher pulls the flag on the opposite hip.
Yep.
And so then we're looking at, a sack might get missed. And so, there are ultimately, so many angles and so much to it. I know for a fact that there's times when I'm literally trying to figure out how to get my eyes to split. I think on the line of scrimmage, the first thing is you are trying to watch everyone that's on the line of scrimmage, but you have to make sure that quarterback catches the ball.
Mhm.
And right away, that is making your eyes go, go
Well,
like this.
the thing about it is, it's tough to split, right? Because I'm not so much worried about what the offense. I'm more worried about just watching that one rusher come through and seeing if they just have a clean path and a nice smooth motion to run to the line of scrimmage. If they're altered or changed in any way, you throw the flag down so you at least have something to mark, something to talk about. And you hope the other person you got with you that's watching the other 9 or 8 people, they maybe saw something. So, you can at least come together. Worst case, if you don't clearly see it. Yeah, it's one of the toughest jobs, especially in a 2-person mechanic.
Yeah, no, for sure. So again, I appreciate Dama coming on. Here we are on to our second guest of the night. I'm going to go ahead and let you introduce her.
Please welcome our world traveler. She's gone two different countries, 2 national tournaments in less than 2 months' time. Please welcome Sonya to the show, everybody.
Hi,
What's
how
up,
you
Sonya?
doing? Hey, what's going on?
All right. So, oh, geez, we got some echo on her voice too. Okay, hold on, really quick. Let me see if it's. Yeah, it is on hers.
What
Okay.
did you do, Ant? This is Ant's
I
fault.
didn't do anything because it's not my mic. Did you hear the echo just now?
This is you. Go ahead, Sonya. Unmute.
All right, let me see. How's that?
I'm unmuted.
All right.
You quit talking. Let Sonya talk.
Are we having technical difficulties?
Been a fun evening.
Fantastic. I love it.
Go ahead, Sonya. Tell us a little bit about Mexico.
Oh, well, Mexico was amazing. I was invited by Alan Kotliar, Kotliar. You know Alan, right? He was in Tampa. Fantastic. He came from Mexico with a bunch of other Mexican officials that were amazing during Tampa. He asked me to do now my Spanish is terrible, the Terreno Interstellata LMT. It's the interstate tournament that they have there. And 12 teams, male teams and 12 female teams, I believe, were there to compete. And it's a pretty darn intense tournament. So basically, in Mexico, they have like states, like the United States has states. So there's a team from all these different states coming in to compete. So it was actually pretty cool to see that. I wish we could do that in the US, like just have state teams come in and compete too. I don't know if that's something you guys can work on.
Absolutely not. Everybody can't get along.
Oh. You're probably right. So, but yeah, that would be really cool. Like I was totally impressed by the teams that were there, and it was just it was really cool. Alan at first, sorry, call was coming in. Alan, the very first day, he held a camp for the officials where we went over and we taught by position. And each group, because you can get thrown into any position, like you don't want to be locked in to a field judge, and then all of a sudden you have to get thrown into a side judge, and you have no clue what the mechanics are. So we went one by one, and everyone got taught a little bit of referee, down judge, field judge, and side judge. Then there was also a tossing the ball, which we never do, like tossing the ball underhand because they spot the ball, right? So we have to make sure that the referee gets the ball and doesn't drop it. So just tossing the ball back and forth. I don't know why we don't do that more often and practice that. So, and also throwing a flag, making sure a flag. And one of the things that he stressed was making sure when it's a spot foul, your flag needs to go where it is, the spot, not just throwing it where the spot is, and then you have to finish the play. So also throwing your bean bag down to make sure you get the end of the run or the end of the play, and then coming back to your spot where your flag is. I mean, just things that we all need to work on that. I mean, I know I throw a flag and I might not know exactly that's where the spot was, or I forget to throw my beanbag down and then I don't know where the end of the run is. So I think we all need to work on that a little bit too. But so then we had the next 3 days was just great competition. And the officials down there are very intense. They're very, very rule savvy. And because flag football is huge down there, and it's been for a while. So, but my experience down there was amazing. And the food was terrific. And the traffic and driving in Mexico City is insane. There are no rules. No rules.
Okay, I'm gonna mute you real quick. But hopefully that will correct some of this echo. So Mexico City has that big like circle, right? The big roundabout where there's like 12 lanes or whatever. So that's the only thing as far as traffic that I think of. But Allen is like he's like the upper echelon IFAF guy, yeah, and he's like 6'8", 6'9". He's pretty tall too. But yeah, I mean that's like high level, mechanics. That's something I was noticing as I'm watching the Super Bowl, because at this point I don't even watch football to watch it. I literally pay attention to what the officials are doing. And that was something that I was noticing, how quick that beanbag comes out at the end of every play. Whether it's, yeah, I mean, it's so quick. And, where the flags go and everything like that. So, I mean, I think it's amazing, being able to have that experience. And I thank you for, coming on here and sharing that. I think about like when I was in Charlotte, and you and me both, when we first met, that was something that I had no concept of all, was like throwing the football, and the amount of times on a televised game that was being broadcast all over the world where I threw that football underhand and it did not get anywhere else to my to my crewmate, and I was like, why can't I get this part down? So did you have some of those same frustrations, Sonya?
That's literally a frustration in every level of football. At high school football and tackle football, you absolutely, if the ball hits the ground, that is not good. College football is the same way. And if your crew can make it an entire game, and between us tossing the ball to each other and it doesn't hit the ground, we're winners. We're just winners, plain and simple. So we just need to do it right and get it in. And if you're not a strong tosser, run it in. Don't be embarrassed. Just run it in. Just make sure it doesn't hit the ground.
So are you guys suggesting I need to bring a bag of footballs out there and have everybody line up and toss the ball to each other?
Yes.
Probably. I think it would expose a lot.
It would be good practice.
It would.
Yeah.
Be.
Yeah.
It would.
Yep. And then it would also give them expectations too. Like, we shouldn't be throwing the ball overhand at all. It should always be underhand. So it just looks cleaner and it'll get there better. So yeah, I think it would just set some expectations.
Yeah, and I don't know necessarily as far as I know with big tournaments there's so many games going on, and so I know some of the things it just logistically it becomes a nightmare. Jacob, I know how many times I've told you about these amazing catches that the ball is completely crunched because there's no air in it. Well, the logistics of trying to have 45 fields have their, the PSI of the footballs tested, it's a nightmare. And there's already so much going on in these, in these big tournaments. But I did notice, and it was cool to see whenever in Tampa, whenever there were crews that had, the Mexican officials on them, they were spotting the ball up and down the field, no matter what. They were hustling. I don't necessarily think that it slowed the game down at all. You could tell me, Jacob, because you knew what fields were behind. So, but
So
I don't know. I think it presents a cleaner version of the game. And honestly, I didn't hear many players like, "What are you doing?" Complaining about it either. What do you think, Jacob?
Well, I think the biggest thing is, number one, they can pick the ball back up and they can go sideline to sideline, especially in like 4s, 5s, and 6s. So they have those opportunities. So as long as the ball is able to be picked back up and they can move where they want, then they're not going to have an issue with it. If anything, it's establishing a line of scrimmage for them, for the teams. And as long as everybody's hustling like they should be, then there's no issue. There shouldn't be any time delay from doing that. And most of the time, whoever the runner is at the end of the play, they want to give the ball back to somebody. They're looking to give the ball back to somebody. It'd probably be a good practice. I think, as officials in the States, we get complacent and kind of, I don't want to say lazy, but lazy is the word that comes to mind with it. Hey, we'll just, we'll let them spot their own. They'll take care of it. We don't need to worry about trying to hustle in and hustle out. And I think part of that's that quick mentality of trying to get, 20 games in a day. So I don't think it's a bad thing. If you can work it out. I think to Sonya's point, we don't need the ball hitting the ground and going, once the ball hits the ground, it's got a mind of its own. It's going to go wherever it wants. You're not going to be able to keep up with it. You're not going to be able to keep track of where everything happens. And, and that's when things kind of spiral out of control and kind of it's where you lose time. Because the second, I guarantee you, somebody tosses the ball to you, Ant, you drop it, and it rolls off 5 yards, they're going to want the clock to stop. They're going to want play clock to stop. They're going to want, everything reset. And then as soon as you get it set, then they're going to want everything to start. So it's a good thing, but it can be a slippery slope.
I'm sorry. You're saying players are demanding of officials?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
And there's a clip.
So, Sonya, let me ask you this. So, in this tournament in Mexico, was the time limit longer? Like, were these like 20-something minute games, or was this shortened?
Oh, now they were 20 minutes, 20-minute halves. So yeah, so it was a decent time to play. So it was good.
Yeah, so I mean that makes a difference as well. I do think that I feel like that's got to be something that somewhere along the lines before the Olympics that gets changed. I mean, I don't know. I just feel like that's a long, like a 40, like we're talking about like a 45-minute game for fives. Like that seems excessive to me. What are your thoughts?
I think with cleaner play and not having as many arguments from the players and the coaches, that the 20-minute halves go by very smoothly. So we don't have those interruptions that are killing the clock actually, and not benefiting them with the clock. But if we can just clean up the play, 20 minutes isn't bad for a half, and a 40-minute game is great. You don't even realize the time when it's so clean. So.
Yeah, I completely agree. I think we'll get to a point where you're able just to keep things moving and keep things going and we'll, at the end of the day, you block off an hour for it. So you've got, time for, stoppages and all that good stuff. But I think it'll be fine. Ant wants to get these games over with so quick.
Oh yeah. So basically, you guys both disagree with me. It's okay.
Yes.
My feelings aren't hurt. It's fine.
Good. We didn't ask.
Oh, my bad. Hey, you were the one last week saying that these players should be willing to play more than one game in a day during the Olympics, right?
Yeah. Why would time change that?
Well, I mean, if there's more time in the day to play more games,
okay.
Because then you have
there's like 6 teams. You can get more than one game in a day.
Okay, I'm sorry. I apologize. So, okay, I'm going to keep myself muted for a bit, Jacob. Just unload like all kinds of questions about Tampa and this Mexico tournament? Anything else? Maybe the Eagles a little bit, or whatever else you want to talk to.
Well, I
Sonya
want to
about.
hear about this apparel she's got on, because it's not a Clocks Running hoodie, but I want to hear about this sweet apparel they all got when they went to Mexico. Everybody's popping up with these sweet jackets and these sweet ref shirts, and I'm just curious.
Well, how did somebody else pop up with this same logo? I want to know who.
Somebody in Mexico. I don't know who it was.
Oh,
Somebody
well,
in those pictures.
Okay, so it is a company in Mexico named Rayo Negro, which is Black Lightning. And they did this cool little pamphlet for the tournament. And see that? And then their artist is just amazing, who created the artwork for this. So it's this gentleman's company, and off the top of my head, I don't remember his name right now, but it is his company, and he does everything, legit everything from cleats to mouthpieces to the head bands, uniforms, everything. And he sponsored the entire tournament. This is his company. You can order from his company from Mexico, and everything is produced by his company. Nothing is outsourced, which is fantastic. And he gave all of the refs a cool ref shirt and these waterproof jackets. They also make ref pants as well, which I didn't get a pair, but I plan to get a pair, and I'll try those out and see how they are. It is not Clocks Running, but since I was talking about Mexico, and then we also got these cool shirts that have the artwork from each team on them. So I'm not sure you can see that, but
That is cool.
yeah, it's just the artwork is just incredible, which I'm so impressed with. And you can design your own logos or your own team logos or whatever, and they'll do them for you. And he gave us a tour through his entire company, which was fantastic. But he was a really cool guy, and he was a really awesome driver, because he drove through Mexico City to get us to Toluca, Mexico, and we didn't crash. So I was impressed by the driving. So yeah, but yeah, so that's Rayo Negro, and I would look him up. Yeah, it's pretty cool.
So tell us about your most exciting moment in Mexico. You know, you got to see several teams, several of the state teams. You know, what was something that was, you know, just that really just stood out to you from that tournament?
I think the level of play stood out. The officials stood out. The kindness of everyone, and that may also be my lack of not knowing Spanish very well. So they could have been saying bad names to me, and I took it as a compliment. But it was things that stood out the most. Just the entire experience of being there, because I've never been before. So from just the airport, which is just crazy, to the traffic, which is crazy, but then the food was amazing, and just everyone being so nice, and then the games. It was great flag football. So I enjoyed it a lot.
Good deal. So you got to work both tournaments. Both of these were pretty high stakes in both their own respective ways. What would be the biggest difference between the two?
The biggest between the two is the thing that I saw the most is the chatter, just always trying to argue every call on the field. I didn't see it a lot in Mexico, and there wasn't a lot of wasting time on the clock for things. So that was the big difference. So
all right. So what? Let's see. Where with Mexico? And it's always a better question asker than me. Of course, sure.
I got some questions.
Go ahead, hit it.
So speaking of players and their chirping and chattering and everything like that, let me just ask you this: as far as when you run a clock with adults, in Tampa, that situation, at what point do you stop your clock because of the chatter and the complaining?
I stop it when I think that there's going to be a disadvantage to the other team. So, like, I have one team that's just chirping, chirping, chirping. They won't get back. I'm trying to give them warnings. And I'm thinking, okay, the other team still needs to score to possibly win the game or whatever. I will stop it as a courtesy to the other team until I can get it under control, because it's not their fault that I can't get this under control. I think it just doesn't give justice to the other team when they're losing time on the clock for something that they can't control. So that's when I'll stop the clock. If I have two teams going at each other, I don't stop the clock because they're both wasting the clock. That's nothing that I'm doing. So, but if it's something that I can't control immediately, I will stop the clock.
Have you, because now at this point you've been able to go to a lot of like USA flag tournaments, and now you're going internationally. Have there been strategies that you've learned from other officials as far as being able to, you're saying that if you can't control it, well, are there strategies that you've learned from other officials on how to better control that?
When I was first started to officiate, I let things get to me. And I would allow opinions to matter over the facts on the field. As I have officiated a little bit longer, I have learned that the facts on the field stand, and your opinion, even though you believe it should matter, doesn't matter in that moment. So whatever the facts are will trump whatever you're saying. And at that point, I'm just raising my voice a little bit, saying, this is what we're doing. This is what we're doing. Blow the whistle. Let's go. And that's it. So the facts trump anybody's opinion.
And in just the year of you working with us, that's become very, very apparent that you've done that. It's so good. It's so cool to see. And just, like I said, I didn't get to spend a bunch of time with you guys in Tampa this year, unfortunately, but usually that means that if I'm not spending time with you, there's no problem. So, no, I definitely noticed that a couple of times I did get to be back there with you guys or wherever you guys were. I just noticed, hey, we got a call. Who cares what you're saying? Let's keep it rolling. And for the most part, teams would eat it and keep moving.
Yep.
Yeah, apparently when Jacob stops picking up your phone calls, that means that you're doing a good job.
Yes.
Still holding on to that. Okay. One time I didn't answer the phone, and now.
So, Sonya, did you have the opportunity to? You were working with Dean, right, in Tampa?
Yes, I did. I got to work with him in the big ball. So.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
Yep.
So like 7s, 8s, that kind of stuff.
Yep.
How now? It's funny because I feel like that is like the two sides of the coin in this situation. Because maybe you're not very you kind of let things go maybe a little bit. Where Dean, like, he's throwing an unsportsmanlike right away, right? Like, he loves to throw unsportsmanlike. So do you think there's a happy medium there, or do you think like his strategy works well for him? Like, are you trying to adopt that Cayman unsportsmanlike strategy? Like, where are you with that?
I'm not quick to throw unsportsmanlikes. I hate to try to threaten someone or try and get someone out of a game. They pay to play, so I want them to play. If it goes too far, then they need to go, which I do understand that. But I'd rather see folks play and, just let them know I do have a flag in the back of my pocket. When the next time I throw it, it will be your last. But I'm not quick to ever throw it. Like, I'm very understanding of things that happen on the field. And if someone's not trying to hurt someone, I'm not going to throw it. So I'm not Cayman style.
So give us the Dean experience for you. Like what was working with Dean like at Worlds? Yes.
Okay, Dean, I love you very much. This is my caveat. I love Dean. He is a great guy, and I believe Dean. If I called him up today and I said, Dean, I need you here absolutely tomorrow to help me, he would jump on a plane and be here in Harrisburg, Pennsylvania in a heartbeat to help me out. I mean, he is a solid friend and just a great guy. But I do have to say that he stayed in our Airbnb with us, which is fantastic. I can't wait till next year because he was just a load of fun. We did pack him a lot of peanut butter and jelly sandwiches. Mary, myself, and Jen made them. So. And he does like creamy peanut butter. I'm just putting it out there. Him massaging his feet the first night was an experience. It was, in his words, I believe said was glorious. And the noises he made was just amazing.
Oh my gosh. Please continue.
But Dean is a hoot. He's got, I love his stories when he comes off the field. I love that he knows every single player. He knows them by name. He knows what they've done. He knows their number. He knows what teams they've played on. He's just really, he's all in. He's 100% in to flag football, whether it's on his island or it's here in the States for USA flag. So, but he did misplace his driver's license. And, Jen, my counterpart, Jen, we had to go pick it up for him, and we had to tell them that we were his mothers. Yeah, so
that's fantastic.
Good times, and I cannot wait till next year. It's just going to be another amazing adventure, and Dean hopefully stays with us in our Airbnb again, and
hold on, hold on. We're not going to just skate over that. What's the name of the establishment where he lost his license?
Oh, the Cheesecake Factory.
Oh, okay.
What did you think it was?
I thought maybe he went to a gentleman's club. And
well, I'm such a good friend to Dean. I would never tell you
that.
All right. Now let's level with this.
Yeah. No, him and Avery were amazing. We had a hot tub and we had a swimming pool. So they would dip in the hot tub and then go this high in the cold swimming pool to do a cold plunge.
No.
They were just recouping their bodies. Their bodies were just, that was amazing that they did that. Like, I didn't, but they did, which is fantastic. Regenerate your body. That's what they were doing. They were getting ready for the next day, and it showed. They were fantastic out there. So.
Yeah. No, I love it. Here in Ohio, they have a yearly tradition on January 1st where you take the plunge into the lake. And my 77-year-old dad and my 16-year-old daughter did it January 1st.
Wow.
And I was jealous. I was like, next year I'm in. Like, we got to do this together.
Wow, that's great. That's great.
Isn't that how they determine who has electricity in Ohio for the year?
Probably.
Those jokes aren't so funny, are they, Ant?
Well, but you're using my joke, bro. Like, that's my joke for North Carolina. Like, if you're gonna make a joke about Ohio, make it about like that we eat people's animals or
that's in Illinois, not Ohio. And
no, it wasn't Ohio.
We still have a whole thing to focus on with Dean in the polar plunge.
Oh, Yes, yes. So, and then Keith Flynn, he stayed with us as well. And the last 2 days he did youth.
Mm-hmm.
And he absolutely loved it, but his poor knees were wrecked for 2 days. And then in the mud, I couldn't even, oh my gosh. He was a trooper to stay out there that long and late too.
Yeah.
So and Mary was a beast out there. She worked for like 12 hours straight.
Mm-hmm.
Wow. So they all should have been doing the polar bear plunge in the water out there. So yeah. So I mean, I have questions. How is youth going? I have to look at that schedule to see if I can come out and officiate. Like, how's that working for you? Like the youth tournaments and things.
Oh, it's attached to the adults. We'll have youth with the adult tournaments.
Oh, okay. So when Vegas, though, you'll have a youth tournament there. Oh, I thought they were totally separate.
No.
Oh, that's awesome.
I think like maybe 1 or 2 for USA flag is separate from adults, but everything else, if there's adults, typically there will be a youth tournament there as well. Mm-hmm. I think like for March in New Orleans we'll have adult and youth. Nashville will just be adult, and then Phoenix will have adult and youth as well. That's awesome. Vegas is the same way.
That's great. I love it. I love the tournaments that you put on. So I always have such a great time.
So what was your best experience from Tampa? What was your funnest moment with Tampa?
My funnest moment with Tampa outside of the Airbnb.
Outside. Yeah.
I had the best time there. The best time. You know what the best time was? That very first day, right before your meeting, seeing everyone, seeing all of the officials. We're just there to officiate, giving hugs to people I haven't seen for a year. Maybe I chit-chatted once in a while, texted back and forth, but just to see them and give them that hug and be part of the family of officiating for USA flag. So that actually was the ultimate best part. Then the rest of it is just officiating, because I love it, and the teams, and just being part of it. Oh, and the that one game the Canadians won, was that gauntlet, the end line catch.
Oh yeah,
that was awesome to be part of that. The young man who was across the field. So that was a great moment to be part of and get the call right. So, when you get it right, it's always a good thing. So, and just the rain. I mean, who could, it's part of the adventure. How could you not want to be part of that and then survive the day? So it was the rain was just, part of it, and it was great. I loved it.
I think a month later, it's fun to look back at and go, yeah, that was something. And then, the day of, I can tell you, nobody wanted to be part of that.
Yeah. Well,
that was brutal.
I was just waiting to officiate. You had logistics you had to worry about. So like that. Yeah. It was a good time. And I heard the food was all very good that was provided for lunch and dinners.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
It wasn't Subway.
Nope.
So everybody was happy.
Yeah.
Sonya, what's next on the horizon for you? You've now done an international tournament. You got that stamp on your passport. Do you just tell me what the next 6 months looks like for you for officiating, either flag or tackle?
Okay, so I had like a few weeks off now, so I have a break. So I got the NCAA rule book out. I got to start getting back into college football. I have my Centennial Landmark conferences, or clinic is the very first one that we'll hit. That'll be a lot of classroom and listen to speakers and things like that. Then I'll be doing a camp in Jacksonville, and that's for college football. Then I'll be headed to Vegas for USA Flag. So if you haven't heard, USA Flag is going to be having a big tournament in Las Vegas in April. So I think anybody should participate in that if they want to, because I'll be there.
Yeah, I might check it out.
And so will Jen and Avery. So you get 3 ladies. So we'll be good. And then I have another camp. It is the CIAA mini camp that I'll be headed to for college football as well.
I heard you were going to that.
How did you hear that?
I hear everything.
Yep, I'm going to that. And then I'll be headed to another camp in somewhere. I just can't even remember where they all are. So 3 camps for college. Penn State practices will start soon. So I'll be head up for those. And just flag football, local flag, and anything that takes me anywhere for that. So, and then also, I'm going to keep my eye on the King of Sweden.
Our guy, Marcus.
Yep. So one of the things that I haven't tapped into yet is IFAF has tackle football. International Federation of American Football. They also have tackle football. And I would love to figure out how to get involved and officiate some of those games. I just think that would be just really cool to do, and to give back to that organization at that level would be really awesome. So I'm just not sure how to get there. So if anybody knows, let me know.
I feel like Alan would probably have answers, right?
Yeah. Yep.
Alan, somebody in Europe. Yeah.
Yep. So I'll get with Alan too.
Jacob knows everybody, so Jacob knows.
Yeah.
I don't have any friends. What are you talking
Oh
about?
yeah. Any plans to return the favor for Avery and go up to Canada and officiate with her?
I would love to, but I think she likes to come visit me.
Yeah.
But, yeah, I would love to go. I think I would just actually love to go to Canada and just hang out with Avery for a little bit and live in her life because she's so amazing. So I think just maybe a mini vacation to Canada and hang out with her would be pretty cool. So yeah. Yep.
What about spring ball? Like it's now just the UFL, right? XFL is gone.
Yeah.
Have you tried to get involved in that at all?
I did. So I don't live close enough to a team to get involved with that yet. So for any one field or anything, I mean, they do have a team that's in Washington, D.C. or close to it.
I was about to say.
It's close enough, but they're all staffed right now. So they kept all their staff from last year. So, but if there's another team that moves in, I know that they were looking for another East Coast team. Then I would be looking at something like that. So yeah. So don't worry. I'm already trying for that one.
Good.
Cool. So since you have the college rule book fresh on your mind, can you call 2 timeouts in a row in college football?
No.
Okay, so that answers our question, Jacob. College and NFL.
Say no. Yep. High school says yes. Right?
Oh, high school you can.
You guys don't use NFHS rules, do you?
We do. Pennsylvania does use NFHS. Yep. Yeah. I don't know. I have college on the brain, so high school, I have to say that is, I'm not 100% sure about that, but I know college is an absolute no.
Yeah.
So, yep. Yeah.
Cool. Okay. Well, that being said, Sonya, thank you so much for coming on the show tonight. We really appreciate you. We're sorry for any technical difficulties that were caused.
Just blame me. Everybody else does.
I'm good. I'm good. No technical difficulties at all. So I'm very thankful to be on and
cool.
I can't wait to do it again.
Yeah. You're experienced now at this point.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah, if you have any college questions, just shoot them my way. I'll be more than happy to answer those questions. If you have any flag football questions, let me know. I mean, I can help you out with that too, right?
Yeah, we don't know what we're. Yeah.
Yeah. I kind of felt that.
Rule talk with Sonya. Brought to you by Gatorade.
That's right. That's right. No, brought to you by.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yep, that's right. Black Lightning.
Brought to you by.
All right, cool. Well, we'll see you in Vegas then.
All right, I will absolutely be in Vegas. I'm so excited. So yeah, it's going to be a good time.
Sounds good. See you, Sonya.
Thank you, guys. Thanks.
Yeah, totally your fault, bro. Thanks for messing up all the sound once
Hey,
again.
man, you know what? If I can just sabotage this podcast a little bit more, I'm be glad to do it.
Can't blame Mike this time around.
Mike. It's all my fault.
Hey, man. So now that it's just you and me on the show,
Okay.
let's let's get into some real, let's talk about this past weekend.
Talk about
I don't know. I don't know if you know that there was this big Super Bowl kind of thing going on.
I think they call it the big game.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
How do you feel about it? Let's just have the most minimal tackle football conversation right now. How do you feel about the game itself?
It sucked. It was very one-sided. Didn't seem like anybody could get anything going. It was cool to see. It was. I kept waiting to see the shoe drop, and for Kansas, you don't have to change the camera, dude. No, I just kept waiting for the comeback. I went to a friend's house. We watched the Super Bowl together every year. There at one point in the third quarter, I was like, all right. I usually tell them halftime I'm done. I'm gonna head home. It's getting kind of late. I gotta be at work in the morning. And the third quarter, I said, this is right around the time. 28-3 started. Rearing its head in my mind, and I was like, this is about the time that they're gonna kick it back up and they're gonna start the comeback. I said I don't want to miss that. So I stuck around. I kept waiting for it to happen, and it never did. So, but it was pretty for as high scoring of a game as it was pretty uneventful in my mind.
Yeah. Now, like I said, I think I focus so much on the officials and not really paying too much of the game. I've never officiated tackle football, so I have zero perspective of what they're going through as far as that goes. But what do you think about that first penalty? It was a face to the helmet. But how do you feel about that?
They got it right. It right. I think there was a lot of scrutiny because the second it happened, everybody said, all right, here we go. They're going to start cheating for the Chiefs. And, there's that big stigma from everybody that they get favorable calls. But if you remember back in the day, everybody said that about the New England Patriots. It kind of shifts to, successful teams, look like they're favored rather than, that they're executing well.
Yeah.
And I think that it becomes more glaring when everyone's watching it. And everyone wants to say it's a script or the script writers for the NFL or this and that. And, I even make jokes about it here and there, but I don't actually believe it. These guys are paid way too much money to for their integrity to be questioned. I think they did a really good job coming out with the Referees Association for the NFL and making a statement talking about how, enough's enough. These guys are out here doing the best they can. They're the best officials, in the world right now. There's a reason they're there.
Yeah, so it's almost like there's a connection between good teams with strong coaching staff and leadership on the field that they get less penalties.
Yeah, it's called execution.
So it goes back to something that I've been vocal about as far as IFAF and Sonya kind of brought it up as well that it really was smooth games down in Mexico because there wasn't all this arguing and it was just good competition and all of that. And I feel like I've been vocal about the fact that no, IFAF really doesn't bring on that many penalties. It's the teams that don't adjust to it that brings on the penalty. And I think that you can put that into a team that look at the Chiefs. They they were going for what? Their fourth Super Bowl in 6 years? Is that what? They were going for a three-peat.
Yeah, they're going
but
for the
they,
three-peat. And I think you're
they,
right. I think it was no. I think it was the
because they lost a year and they won the year prior to that. So
they won three like recently. They won
yeah.
three. Yeah, I think you're right. I think it was the 4 and 6 years because they lost one. The Rams and Bengals played in one, and then they've been in everything else.
Yeah, so I mean, I just think that's an example of a team that has. This is not a fluke. They've been around for a good period of time. They understand. They know the rules. Plus, just like the officials are the top of the game, these players are the top of the game. We talked about as far as the Pro Bowl goes. Maybe we still don't understand what the speed of NFL players are. I think we need to understand that there is a lot of IQ there as well.
Yeah, agreed.
So
definitely agree.
yeah, and I go back to the fact of like me as an official in a very small field in recreational flag football. I do not have the time or energy to during a game be like, I want this team to win. Let me throw this flag here. Like there's too much going on. So I can't imagine thinking about being an NFL official during the Super Bowl with millions of people watching, with everything going on, and in the back of your head saying, you know what, I'm gonna throw a false start right here. I'm just gonna, like
right.
so. So that being, go ahead.
I was gonna say, I think and something the kind of a culture I've tried to create, with what we do with USA Flag is team officials don't find out who the teams on their field are. Now, this is unless they can go and do their homework, when they get their schedule, but they don't find out who the teams are until they get their scorecards that morning. I don't send out, we don't send out any schedules with teams on it because what do the officials need to know who the teams are? Shouldn't matter.
Yeah.
If you're on a field, you should be qualified to ref or to work any of those games within that division with any of the teams there. You shouldn't have to be able to jump around because a team or you're not comfortable with a team or somebody makes you nervous. So that shouldn't be a thing. If you're with a crew, you should be there because you're qualified to handle that. I think you see that a lot.
Yeah, no, and I love that. I think that's a great strategy to have for a few different reasons. Not only that it doesn't create any of this like, I don't want to rep this team or that team or whatever, but it also challenges us as officials to rise to what. Okay, hey, Jacob trusted me to be on this field, so I want to do the best I possibly can. I want to show him that I'm capable of officiating this Fives Pro, or I'm capable of officiating these contact games, whatever it is. And it also makes these officials so well versed in, okay, I did 4s and 6s on one day, and then I did 7s, and I did contact, and and then they get used to it. And so it creates all these officials on all these different fields that then the next tournament, they're able to be a crew chief. I mean, I think about my guy Tim out of Southern California, and the first time we worked together at a USA Flag tournament, I had some reservations. I was worried about how things were going to go, and I remember the first game in, there was a little bit too much chirping going on, and me and him stopped at halftime, and we had a conversation. I said, "Look, man, lock it in. We got this. You and me, we're locked in. We're going to trust each other. You make a call, I'm going to have your back. Just feed it to me. Feed me the call. Let me, and we're going to continue to run with it." And from that point on, the rest of the weekend, he was. I mean, he would make a call, he would throw a flag, and he wasn't listening to anyone. Of course, these guys from California, they knew him, everything. Oh, Tim, all this stuff. They wanted to engage him, and instead he was just like, "Okay, Ant, this is what I got." And I have seen since then, every time he's at a tournament, I mean, he's running a crew more often. He's a leader on the field, and I think that that's a good example of the fact that you didn't really know Tim from anybody else, but you said this is who's going to be on my field for this, and we're just going to run with it, and it's paid off. So Kudos to you for sure.
Well, yeah. I mean, you got to think Tim's such a good dude too. He's so versatile. You can put him in just about any format, and he knows his stuff. And he takes the time to realize what he's doing, what he's changed to, what he's adjusted to. And just to clarify, let me make sure I say that correctly. Officials know what format they're working prior to. They just don't see the teams. I don't send a schedule out that says, hey, you're working, Team Clock's running against Team Camel City. It's they get just the blocks of, hey, you're going to work 5 games of 5 contact. You don't know what game it is. The scorecards are given to you the day of. So just a little insider.
For sure. Yeah, and the next step with that, as a crew chief, as soon as I get those scorecards, I'm going to the field that I'm assigned to. I'm seeing who else is in the crew, and we're having a conversation about the rule book of that format. And we're going, real quick. Do they have cliff notes still? Is that a thing? I don't know.
Yeah.
Okay. We're doing
Oh my gosh.
We're doing a real quick cliff notes of, hey, this is force. This is what we're looking for. This is what we will need to pay attention to. Don't overthink it. Like, those kind of things. And then after that block is finished, we come back from lunch and it's like, okay, now we're doing air it out. Forget about force. Throw that in the back burner. What are we going to do here? And I think that, that's another aspect and kind of the next step. You tell us where we're going to be and what format. And then as a crew, we come together and say, okay, this is how we're doing this. This is where you're going to be on the field and this and that. So,
absolutely.
I think those are all great strategies, and I think they're continuing to pay off every tournament. So, Dama said it herself. It's been a few years since she's been at Tampa, and the last time she went, she was worried. I think there's been a lot of people in some of the clips that I have posted around previous years at Tampa, and they're like, "Oh yeah, at Tampa that's allowed. At Tampa, it's a different story." And I think a lot of teams were actually very pleasantly surprised to see this year at Tampa, the officials were locked in, and they were paying attention to the rule book more. They had studied them. They were in uniform. There was across the board officials were just not just one level up. They had leveled up a few in the last couple of years. So I think Dama said that, and I agree with it completely.
Well, it just shows people care about what they do, and it's finding the right people who care about what they do and want to be there for the right reasons. You get always some who are there for the paycheck and that's their priority, and that's fine, but you also have a lot of people who are passionate about what they do, and that makes it 10 times better.
Yeah. So from that, let's move over to the dumpster fire that was these 2 celebrity games over the week. So I don't know. I don't know how much of each game you watched. I know you and me were having conversation around the kind of content creators. It was indoors. Drewski was the head official. First and foremost, talk to me about Drewski being the head official. I want to hear your opinion on that.
Well, first of all, he wasn't the head official. You saw Desiree was on the field. Shout out to Des. Shout out to Nat Brown, 2 officials that we know very well, that are great officials that were on that field. I don't know who the other 2 were. Otherwise, I'd give them a shout out. But they had control of the game for what was asked of them. A lot of these celebrity games. The people or the organizers come to the officials and they say, hey, these folks don't know the game. They're not going to play the game. They're not going to be as serious as you guys or as we would normally expect. There's certain expectations to things that we as players, and people who are involved in the flag community would, we look at it and we're like, what the hell is this? And it's getting publicity to the sport. And if you look at it from that perspective, it's good. If you look at it from the perspective of, there's a false start, there's this, there's that, Cam Newton's in his loafers, what's going on, blah, 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 blah. The only real flag football is 9-man. When you hear crazy things like that, it turns into, it takes you down a wild spiraled out, argument that doesn't even need to happen. Appreciate it for what it is and keep it moving. Drewski's a terrible official. He, saying, what was the penalty he called? Was it a false start? So moving back 5 years or something like that? 5 months, maybe?
Yeah.
I can't.
Yeah, so the big one he called was blocking in the back from the defense.
Yeah. See,
yeah.
No idea what he's talking about. That's a prime example of somebody who he's out there just saying stuff that just he is, he's known from a video of Roll Tide something. It just when people like that get going, just let them go, let them have fun. You saw in the second half he wasn't on the field for the most part. He let the officials actually work, and I think that's what you just got to get through. You just got to get through the theatrics of it.
Yeah, no, for sure. Yeah, I mean, at one point he came on the field and he threw a pass. It was it's funny because like you said, we got to appreciate it for what it is. It is bringing attention to flag football. Now, naturally, there are so many in the game of flag football. We have players that consider them pros that don't read the rule book. So why should we have an expectation of content creators that they're going to show up to a celebrity game and they're going to have some sense of the rule book? That's a completely unrealistic.
We couldn't get them to show up in right equipment. Like I said, Cam Newton's out there in loafers and his top hat that did not move at all.
Not one bit.
In place the whole time.
so
I mean, you take stuff like that, and I mean, you just got to appreciate it for what it is.
Yeah, and not only that, but like just around the game. I mean, the announcers had no general knowledge of flag football. The first pass that went to Hoosh, one of them is like, "Oh yeah, these quarterbacks are used to throwing to NFL caliber players and this and that," and it's like, hold on,
right.
Right. Go ahead.
No, go ahead.
I just think that there was a point where Hoosh and Diana Flores and Kilolo, like, they took the game over. I mean, so once you realize what you have, and maybe you don't, maybe the guy that what's the one guy? Is it Cobby? Is that his name?
All right, I'll go along with it. I don't know.
He does the thing where he's like that. Somebody does something somebody does something like really extravagant, and then he's like, you could just open the bottle like this or whatever. I don't know. Never mind. All I'm saying, he was there. Yeah, exactly. There was, but we have like guys like Quavo. He's proved he's an athlete. There was Jordan Childs, Olympic gymnast. She was out there. And the reason I got to bring her up is let's talk about that flag belt that she was wearing that had the third, the extra part of the belt. Mm-hmm. How do you feel about that? Was that a hold?
Yeah. A hold's still a hold.
Okay. All right. Fair enough. Just double checking.
Oh, man.
Hey, there's a lot of talk on social media. I want to make sure that everyone understands that when the personalities of flag football talk about rules and things like that, maybe we got to bring it back and say, no, this is what the rule book says. So essentially, if you grab that extra part of the flag and you stop a player's momentum, and then you pull their flag, what is that?
If you grab a belt and stop somebody's momentum, it's still a hold.
There we go.
If I grab your flag, your belt, and your flag at the same time, and pull the flag, your momentum's not stopped because of what I'm doing. My single motion act, you're fine.
Yeah. And at the end of the day, we can do all kinds of talking about these things, but an official at their angle, what they see is their judgment. And,
Absolutely.
and that's what it comes down to. So if they say, I saw him pull his flag at the same time, cool, keep it moving. I saw the momentum stop. Okay, there we go. And their explanation becomes their judgment. And like we always like to say, you can't challenge a judgment. So
Yep.
the other game that happened that was interesting was the Celebrity Sweat. We had T Mac against RG3. Hoosh was in that game as well, and he ended up winning the MVP.
Of course you did.
Yeah.
Shocker.
Yeah. So again, the announcers did not have a lot. Shout out to those announcers. They were like from Louisiana, like local television show, and they were just on the sideline. One of them, thought Hoosh was NELE Choppa. I don't know if you know who that rapper is.
Okay.
But so then then the PA announcer was like, and we have Hoosh scored a touchdown, the QB from the U.S. national team. And the announcer's like, oh, that's the quarterback from the U.S. national team. So,
whoops.
Yeah. So, another example of him just taking over the game. And, but hey, it brought attention to it. You've got all these guys that make their name, whether it's destroying or Ross 500, AJ Green. These guys are they're involved in football, whether it's sevens or passing league or flag football, but they're doing the same thing. Some of these guys are doing this because they want to be in the Olympics.
Yeah.
And so they have it in their head that they're trying to, this is how they're going to get themselves involved. What do you think, are the chances of a content creator ending up earning a spot on an Olympic team?
None. If George and Pat are still where they need to be in 2028, are they going to have to deal with the NFL factor of it? Sure. But they're not going to let some kid come in there who's got 3 million followers and say, all right, that's my tryout 40 times, 7 seconds. Oh, cool. How many followers you got? 3 million. Perfect. Bring him in. He can rush. Absolutely not. They're not going to do that. It's going to be, if like I said, the NFL guys, I could even see, possibly NBA guys trying to mix into that just to, that don't play on the basketball team. Seeing people from different sports try to mix in just because they're athletic, and that's fine, but they're going to put the best talent on the field that they can, whether that's NFL players, whether that's the amateurs that we currently use, however it's laid out.
Yeah, I think I did. There was a really good point that the announcer from the Celebrity Sweat game brought up, and I haven't thought about it this way, but he mentioned, he said, look, there are 32 NFL teams, and look how hard it is to get a spot on an NFL football team. Plus, there's 52 on the roster, something crazy like that.
Yeah.
53 on the roster. To get on the national team, there's 12 spots. Look, there's not multiple teams. You are fighting for 12 spots. That is a huge difference. And I think people don't realize how big of a difference that is from what NFL players are, and again, that there is such a small percentage. If you take all the people that play D1 and D2 college football and how many make an NFL team, 12 players on one roster is so much less than that.
So let's just say, let's not include practice squad. Let's not include injured reserve. So if you take the 53-man roster and you put that over the 32 teams, that's 1,696 players. Okay. 12 of that, that's less than 0.7% of the NFL players that are going to get taken. It's not even 1%. So
crazy statistic to think about. So in the reality of it, when we have all these names that get thrown out about like Patrick Mahomes in 3 years and this and that and all that stuff, that percentage is so small. I mean, even George and Pat looking at who they're going to bring for these 12, there's 1,600 players.
Yep.
And maybe a college player ends up beating out somebody in the NFL.
And you have to even think about if you start pulling from them and adding them into the equation, that's an even larger pool because, you figure every college gets, I think, like 110 spots.
Yeah.
It's unreal,
Yeah.
So,
yeah. And I know we could you could take away the O lineman and D lineman and all that stuff, but it's still so many players are skilled players. And like we saw in the Pro Bowl, literally a guy that was he plays on special teams and he was rushing full speed, all out. Like it was almost like he was like, this is my tryout right now.
And he made it. I mean, you think about it. I'd love to hear Pat and George's opinion and see what they think of that. Because, I mean, he made a case for himself to even be, considered. It'd be really cool if he were to get an invite to trials. Not that he'd be able to do it. Not that he'd be, his contract would allow it. I don't, how all that works right now. Because I don't think there's a new CBA due. I don't know how that's going to work. Anyways, it'd be really cool to see if, like, he went to that and they put him in the mix just to see how he'd do, how he would perform, how he would react with, certain things in play and how serious he would take it. That'd be the other factor.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it looked like he was taking that game in itself pretty serious.
I agree.
So yeah, I mean, getting that invite and, or, more than anything, it might just open his eyes to like, oh, whoa, I'm nowhere near this, or, hey, wow, actually, like I made the last 24 and I got 3 years still to prepare for this. I mean, I don't know. Maybe there's a confidence that NFL players have that they could just step into it, and maybe they will pay for that, that arrogance, where they need more time to prepare. So. Anyway, we could talk about this all the time. I have a feeling over the next 3 years, every week we're going to bring up this topic, and there's going to be different things we're going to figure out, different things we're going to learn. Like we learned that there's only 6 teams that are going to make the Olympics. Like that, I still can't wrap my head around that because that truly does mean that probably only one of U.S., Canada, and Mexico is going to make it.
Man, what are you going to do if Mexico doesn't make it? You're going to be so distraught. I don't know, man. I don't know if I can tolerate you during that time if that's the way it is. You're going to be such a grumpy pants. It's not going to be funny.
Oh, man. I mean, like watching the gold medal game in Finland, it was like the U.S. and Austria.
I know the best 2 teams that made it. And you're over here like,
oh man, I think your Trump impression is a lot better than your impression of me. I just gotta say that.
I mean, I appreciate that,
So we got one last thing we got to talk about before we wrap it up tonight, and I honestly think this was the best part of Super Bowl weekend. Okay. So I don't know if you know what I'm about to mention, but the Super Bowl ad that was about girls flag football, the push to have it sanctioned in all 50 states. It's crazy that like a state like Texas, I don't think it's still sanctioned it yet. And so like, what are we doing here? But I know there was a lot of hype about it. Tell me, what were your thoughts about the ad?
That was so cool, man. It's cool to see. And the more you started unpacking who was in the commercial, I think it made it even cooler. It's a lot of household names, as far in the flag world, you start realizing. And then it's a lot of people that you wouldn't normally recognize, and you're able to say, "Oh wow, that's who this is." So it was really cool to see. Shout out to V, shout out to Ashley, shout out to is it Kilolo? Yeah. So shout out to the 3 of them for being kind of the big faces of the commercial. But they're it was really cool to see, and it was really nice to be able to say, hey, I know them, and hey, these are the faces of the game right now for women's flag. And to your point, Texas hasn't sanctioned, North Carolina hasn't sanctioned. There's a lot of states who haven't sanctioned. And it's because, I'll put it this way. So like, in the county I live in, I contacted the school board. I said, hey, I'm really interested in trying to get this going. This is what's going on around the rest of the country. Why can't we get it here? And the response I got was a quick, swift, we're not interested. We talked about it. We're not interested. Thanks for your time. And it's kind of sad when you have to go other places to do the right thing.
Yeah.
So I think, more people are becoming aware of it. More people are realizing, oh, this is the cool thing to do. Oh, this is the right thing and the way to keep the sport moving forward. I would say in the next 2 to 3 years, I could see by the time we get to the Olympics, we would have over 40 states sanctioned. That'd be my guess.
Yeah. Yeah, no, definitely, and you said it for sure. I mean, just seeing all the different faces. There were some international players that were, kind of in the backdrop a little bit.
Yeah.
Shout out to the Lopez sisters. I know they're from Texas, but they definitely represent California and LA. So they were both involved in it as well. And Kilolo is somebody that I've officiated her in random tournaments, throughout the country or whatever. But something that I was not aware of is that she is actually the first female flag football player. Actually, I think she's the first flag football player to get a Division I scholarship for flag football.
Good for her.
So
that's so cool.
Yeah. So that's exciting. That's something she's about to graduate, and she has such that's opening doors for somebody to get a better education at a big school, and to be able to press forward in flag football.
Absolutely.
And I'm sure that I haven't had conversations with V or anything like that, but I'm sure she looks at this as like, wow, I remember when I started playing, and to think about the fact that we've gotten to this place is such a big deal. And so I have 2 daughters. I'm excited about that. My daughter started, it's year 2 in Ohio for flag football, and so she's getting ready. Her tryouts are March 8th. She's excited about it. It's just another opportunity, and I think that's what we need. That's why flag football is so important. For girls and for women, because ultimately right now there are tackle leagues and things like that, but there's not an NFL standard for women's flag football.
Right.
And so all these high school players, the ones that are playing in college already, all of that is who are going to end up in the Olympics. And so you got to open up the floodgates, give all these states opportunities. Don't make a family move across the country to be able to play flag football. Like, that's crazy. We are so far away from all the debates of the Title IX stuff where softball couldn't be played and things like that. Like, it's in the Olympics. Like, let's make that push and let's get them in all 50 states.
Yeah, common sense got to kick in at some point.
Yeah, right. But unfortunately, in North Carolina, you guys are more concerned about how ducks swim and the amount of holes in a boat and things like that.
Okay.
Oh man! So that being said, what a show we had tonight. We had Dama from the West Coast. We had Sonya from Harrisburg, Pennsylvania.
Yeah, that's close to you. That's east, north. For you, I think it's south.
I don't know, man. Pennsylvania is weird to me because it is pretty close, but like Pittsburgh's kind of close, but like Philadelphia is not very close.
No, it's not close at all. She's right in the middle.
You're probably closer to Philadelphia than. Yeah.
It's 6 either way for me.
Huh?
It's 6 to 8 hours either way for me.
Oh, okay. I thought you were doing some new saying that I wasn't going to understand.
Oh, my God. You probably didn't understand what I just said there anyways. So, all right, well, check it out, everybody.
Yeah, go ahead.
I was going to say, check us out everywhere you can. We're on Instagram. We're on, YouTube. We're on Facebook. Wherever you get, your podcast, we're there. Check us out. Make sure you like, subscribe, share it. We're still trying to grow. We're still trying to get, to the next level. Ant, take it away with the merch.
Oh, yeah. We got merch. We got hoodies with our logo. Where's that? Look, we got we got hoodies. Yeah, we got our first order in. How quick was that, bro? Like
It
that
was
was like
quick. What that was?
it
That was
was
really
that
quick.
like a 6-day turnaround or something
That was
like that? Like
super quick. Yeah, I'm gonna
yeah.
get ready to get all
So
the shipping information together for everybody for the first one.
yeah,
And
so
get these
we
sent
had
back
a
out.
bunch of people order hoodies. Shout out to everyone that did that. This merchandise is not just for officials. We also have T-shirts with the little chill ref.
Because we're just a
That
chill ref.
is yeah, just a chill ref. That's perfect for officials that need an undershirt underneath their stripes, long sleeve, short sleeve. But we got all kinds of brainchild ideas cooking in our head about new merchandise. If you have a suggestion, let us know. Because when the fact that we are collaborating with Unk Apparel, shout out Unk. That is so big, and that opens it up for us to be like, okay, let's get some cool merchandise out there. And so that's a cool way to support this show. On top of the base level, like you've got to be subscribed, you got to follow us on Instagram, and you got to have fun. Don't think you're ever going to come on this show if you don't subscribe to the YouTube channel. Like,
Yeah,
come on, bro.
we're starting to do our own homework on that now. We're gonna make sure.
Yeah.
So
But hey, but here on Clocks Running, we want to have officials on, we want to have players on. We're not afraid of the smoke. We're not gonna dodge the questions. Like if you think that roughing the passer or impeding or whatever rule drives you crazy, reach out to us. We'll have the conversation. We also have just other stuff down the pipeline that we have planned, and we're so excited about it. We are just right into season 2, and we are not stopping anytime soon. So thank you to everybody that joined us tonight. Jacob, shout out to you. The lights are probably going to turn off soon, and we'll see you soon.
hit that outro.